Though the Falcons faltered, it wasn't all bad in Georgia for the football fans in Athens. They had that, like we said coming into this, it was a spectacular night in Athens in terms of environment, in terms of start, in terms of game day, to the end of the night, to the product on the field. Listen, Tennessee came out there and punched him in the mouth. And I think everybody, even us, could look at this and be like, oh, that was impressive. That first quarter was impressive. And then they looked like they were about to stop Georgia again. And Carson Beck, the man that every single person has ragged on, and yes, up until this game had been very, very underwhelming. This offense as a whole, there has been problems. That was the entire first quarter that we saw. A flip switch, that run that he made to get the ball into the red zone and then capped it off with a touchdown. He goes off from that point, has like 290 yards from that point in the start of the second quarter, 290 yards and 4 touchdowns the rest of the way. It was the best game we've seen in Carson Beck's career by far, especially on that kind of stage with everything on him. And trust me, it's impossible, based on how you played, based on all the noise that's around you, for you not to hear that and not be thinking, oh, here we go again. Well, he answered in the face of adversity. And that's, to me, if I'm a Georgia fan sitting here today, that's what I'm most excited about, because he looked adversity in the face with Tennessee, who was playing, had all the momentum. Those guys were going nuts, and deservingly so, on the sideline, and gave his best performance of his career. He was unbelievable. The Georgia's offense as a whole, over close to 500 yards against a good Tennessee defense. And then the Georgia defense, after a little bit of a shaky start, did what we expected against that Tennessee offense, shut them out in the second half. Great performance, solidifies them in the college football playoff. And I don't care if they lose to Georgia Tech. This is a team that has done enough.
All right.
I'm serious. Go look at the teams behind them. I severely think there's a case, because we're going to be talking about like South Carolina or Georgia.
If Brent Key beats Georgia, maybe we'll start talking about Georgia Tech being in the college football.
But anyways, what I'm saying though, solidified their case as one of the best teams in the country. Great performance from Georgia. Great night in Athens. Everything that we said was going to happen pretty much happened. I will give Tennessee a little bit of credit. They performed a little bit better than I expected by a hair.
I think that I guess I didn't expect Tennessee to go up 10-0, but the way the game unfolded after that point, after that 10-0 lead, was exactly how we said it. Would they go on a 31-7 run or something to end the game? I mean, that is exactly what we thought was going to happen. Kirby Smart owns Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel has absolutely no answer for Kirby Smart's defense. Nico is not that guy. Tennessee's defense, I don't know Tennessee's defense is exactly who I thought they were. James Pierce is going to be playing on Sundays, but the rest of those guys have no business being included in the conversations of South Carolina or Ole Miss. They're not on that level. They're closer to the middle of the pack than those two top dogs at the top of in terms of SEC defenses. Georgia's defense, what they did was much more impressive. I think this was an absolute masterclass by the Georgia Bulldogs. Their fans, that place, on TV, at least from what I could see, was absolutely electric. That place, the lights, the environment, everybody was liquored up. It was beautiful to see Sanford in that kind of environment. I'm sure they got a few recruits to commit just based on that environment alone, let alone what they actually did on the field. Nobody should be surprised. In fact, this is a Tennessee team that I think shouldn't even be mentioned in a college football playoff setting. I mean, the Bama win that they're going to hang their hats on is not who this Bama team has been for most of the season, in my opinion. That was the worst version of Alabama I've ever seen. Tennessee has no business They will be, but I'm just saying they don't belong in it, in my opinion, from what they're playing like late in the season. Georgia Bulldogs, as live as ever in the national championship conversation. Good. They're not going to make the SEC championship, so the best they can do is that 5 seed. That's going to be a slaughter. Whoever comes to Athens for that college football playoff quarterfinal, it's the quarterfinals, is going to get slaughtered. And it looks like it's going to be that 12th seed. So,
we'll see. I don't know how everything's going to shake out in front of them, because the 5 seed.
That's true.
The 5 seed up looks like at this moment, if Indiana wins, Ohio State probably gets that 5. Or if Ohio State wins, Ohio State probably gets that 5 seed. Penn State right now is ranked in front of them. Is
Ohio
Georgia
State's going to meet Oregon again in the? I guess.
But
That's
are they
true.
going to get bumped down? And then, like, you know,
The
Penn
loser in the
State,
SEC
Penn State's
championship.
still there. So
That's
there's a chance Georgia doesn't even get a road game, especially if Alabama's ranked
Home
ahead of
game.
them.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, where are they going to be ranked? So it's a jumble that we're going to have to see play out. I will agree with you, though. If somewhat team has to come to Athens, good luck to anybody that has. I don't care if it's Notre Dame. I don't care who the hell it is.
Yeah, no, bring Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Whoever comes. Yeah,
I'd love to see it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it looks like Penn State for some reason. How Penn State, and we'll talk about it again. I guarantee you
Tomorrow.
when we do the college football playoff rankings, I guess probably on Wednesday because they release tomorrow. But how that team, who has 0 top 25 teams, is getting looked at more favorably than a team like Georgia.
And their biggest bullet point is, well, you know, we barely lost to Ohio State. Oh, the Ohio State team who doesn't have any ranked wins, who barely lost to Oregon. That is the ladder that we're climbing.
Well, that's what I said on Saturday. I said the entire Big Ten has 4 top 5 teams that center around this idea that Ohio State,
that Oregon is this.
Well, it's an Oregon team that really, really struggled this weekend, barely made it out of Camp Randall alive. The same Camp Randall that Alabama, with 2 losses, went in and beat the hell out of Wisconsin by damn near 30 points. So this entire logic of the Big Ten is basically because of Ohio State, Oregon, whichever one you want to, is the top team in the country. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe any of that. It's much more feasible for me to believe that the bottom half of the Big Ten is such a joke.
You want to know how I know that the Big Ten is an absolute joke? You go ask Dan Lanning, who is the number 1 team in the country, who he would rather play Texas, Bama, Ole Miss, Georgia, or Penn State. And you just listen to his answer, and that tell you all you need to know. Now, Ohio State, I don't think Penn State belongs in the same conversation as Ohio State. I think Ohio State does deserve to be in the Oregons, the Bamas, the Georgias, the Ole Miss. But the Indiana Penn State conjecture is exactly that. It's just blasphemy to actually consider these teams who have what's crazy is like, I think everybody knows Indiana is just like, it's a fun story. But the Penn State thing is like, we know who James Franklin is. We have seen it every single year for the past decade.
A team that cannot score an offensive touchdown. Oh, wait, they played Ohio State and didn't score an offensive touchdown. Like, they had a pick 6 in that game and still couldn't win the game and still lost by a touchdown. And by the way, Ohio State got the ball at the 1-yard line in that game. Penn State, this vaunted Penn State defense that they hang out there, they didn't run a single pass play and burnt the last 6 minutes of the clock. Like, that game was not a 20-13 game. No. That was a blowout. Ohio State gave up a Penn State pick 6 and fumbled the ball out of the back of the end zone. Still won by a touchdown.
This is probably one of the worst teams of Ryan Day's tenure.
Yeah, I mean, it is blasphemy. I know we got on that tangent. We're supposed to be talking about Georgia, but
good win, Dogs.
Yeah, good win for the Georgia Bulldogs. A lot more college football talk coming up after the break.